There is one thing that is consistent among all of us, regardless of race or religion, where you live, the size of your home, your political leanings, or your philosophy of life. There's one thing we all have in common, and that is fashion. Clothing is an integral part of our being. It's the first thing we put on and the last thing we take off. It defines our identity. Beyond the aesthetics, what creates that look, that style? If you look closely, fashion is the result of an interesting mix of politics, economics, culture, religion, and society. And we found that incredible combination in Jakarta, Indonesia. People from all over the world fly in to see close to 200 of Indonesia's fashion designers at the 8th annual Jakarta Fashion Week.
The vision of Jakarta Fashion Week is simple. This is Indonesia. It's a country with lots of talents, creativities in the designers, entrepreneurialism. And we also have legacy. Our legacy is the tradition that we have. If you look at Sumatra, that is part of the Silk Route. We have very, very advanced weaving technique from the history of the Silk Route. We have a lot of Gujarat thread in Indonesia. And then you go to the very east of Indonesia, and they are very strong in tribal art. So they have ikat. Combine the two, then come in the middle, Java, we have batik, we have tie-dye. We really see actually diversity in terms of materials. The creativity of Indonesia is immense, and we're seeing our designers also very diverse.
I think what makes Jakarta's fashion scene unique is that we are also a melting pot. Like, there's a lot of young designers coming back to Indonesia. A lot of them studied in US, in Europe, in Australia, and they come home to bring with them this aesthetics and then blend it in with what we have in Indonesia. Kind of like evolves around because of that. Like for the past 5 to 10 years, we've seen it's been really, really progressive. I think as an Asian country, we are deeply rooted in our tradition. It's how we grow up. You are told to appreciate tradition a lot. Whenever someone went abroad to study, and then they will always remember their roots. So that's why they come back and then they blend everything in here.
The first time we have Jakarta Fashion Week, we got a letter, an email from a Parisian, we got a comment from a Parisian blogger. This is such an oxymoron. A Muslim wear? What is Muslim wear? It's just a black thing. You may be surprised, the hijab here is very colorful. In Indonesia, the man and the woman works together. We work 9 to 5 together. Yet they are still Muslim. Yet there are certain dogma that they follow. And so how to accommodate that is to create comfortable Muslim clothing that they can wear 9 to 5. So it's a different function of modest wear, and maybe more similar to the European or the Western country where the Muslim women have to work together, unlike the Sharia where the man and the woman are separated. Indonesia is the largest Muslim population in the world. Yet we are a very secular country. So we have the freedom to express ourselves in the way we dress, whether that is hijab, whether that is just modern contemporary wear, which you saw it in the catwalk, you could see as openly as modern contemporary wear in Paris. So the idea of Jakarta Fashion Week, the taglines in the first years of our program was like bringing Indonesia to the world.
I sat down with Imam Dr. Hamid Slimi from Toronto, Canada, who also visits Jakarta as a professor, to give me his perspective on the broader spectrum of modest wear in Indonesia.
Hijab in Indonesia is part of the Islamic practice. It has become the identity of Islam in Indonesia, so you would expect to see a lot of women in hijab as you see in the streets of Jakarta and Bandung and Surabaya and other streets. You see most of the women wear hijab. The largest number of fashion designers for hijab are in Indonesia and Malaysia, which tells you the creativity. They like to be creative. So it's a cultural expression of a religious belief by many Muslims that hijab, some don't believe that hijab is necessary, but the majority believe hijab. Even if they don't wear it or practice it, they believe it's part of the modesty.
For one designer in particular, it was Cinderella and Belle who would be the beacon of inspiration for modest wear. Who knew?
Itu ketika aku sangat suka dengan film-film Disney, ya, itu sangat memberiku inspirasi yang sangat memang wanita itu pasti ingin terlihat cantik, like a princess gitu. Tetapi sometimes aku juga kadang mentok dalam mendapatkan inspirasi itu sangat enggak bisa harus hari ini aku dapat inspirasi itu enggak, tetapi lebih jika lagi mentok gitu aku suka traveling. Ketika aku traveling itu sangat membuka wawasan aku tentang dunia, tentang negara lain, tentang daerah-daerah yang aku datangi. Itu semua memberikan aku inspirasi yang sangat banyak.
Taking her designs to the global fashion stage, designer Anissa Hasibuan not only cast a spotlight on modest wear, but on Indonesia as well.
Kenapa kamu berani menampilkan hijab di international event? Dan mereka sangat interest sekali dengan cerita-cerita pengalaman aku pada saat New York Fashion Week. Dan aku sangat senang membagi share pengalaman itu, aku senang gitu.
The boundary-breaking moment grabbed the world's attention. She broke the stereotypical all-black ensemble with a gorgeous array of color, intricate beadwork, and feminine silhouettes. Social media was aflutter.
Aku berharap semua yang koleksi aku buat, khususnya yang di New York Fashion Week, yang di Jakarta, di situ aku ingin menyampaikan bahwa setiap koleksi aku ini memang tertutup. Tetapi di sini aku membuat koleksi ini adalah, dan itu bisa di mix and match dengan semua baju. Aku buat memang biar semua wanita yang non-muslim pun bisa ikut memakai. New York Fashion Week, maybe it's all designer dreams, like me. Itu mimpi saya, tetapi dengan banyak kesempatan yang telah aku dapatkan, aku berusaha semua itu aku kerjakan dengan baik dan memang sesuai dengan hati aku gitu.
She have a nerve. Yeah, she bring hijab in New York City, so the media coverage her. And then I asked her, Anissa, do you want to get some business from in New York City?
When we are in New York,
I chatted with Teti Rampas and Dina Fatima, the ladies who were behind Anissa's headlining New York debut. It all started with a dream and a cold call to IMG, the global entertainment company that runs New York Fashion Week.
we don't know anybody in IMG.
And then we make a presentation about her
Yeah.
collection from
Yeah.
Istanbul, from
Yeah.
Couture Fashion Week, and then she's good.
Yeah.
After
Yeah.
2 meetings, we got the schedule, the slot. We have many meeting again with public relation, with production,
yeah.
and IMG. When they ask to us what kind of hijab, we choose to hijab like Turkey hijab because we have to choose the universal hijab.
They knew that they had to be strategic with their history-making hijab moment. After all, they were in the U.S., a country that was divided along ideological lines while witnessing a rise in Islamophobia.
In America, we got information about Islamophobia.
There is a lot of issues about Islam.
So we plan and make a concept. Who is Anissa to the world? I said to her, and I said to IMG, this is a revolution, you know, revolution for hijab industry in the world. But please make the hijab universal.
Dalam New York Fashion Week lalu dan diajak bergengsi ini, Anissa ternyata mendapatkan standing ovation dari ribuan tamu setelah menampilkan koleksi busana muslim karyanya.
Tati and Dina knew they were onto something. By making the hijab universal and understanding that they presented the first hijab designer with a modest wear collection at New York Fashion Week, Anissa went viral. However, as with all success stories, there are always the detractors who couldn't figure out how Anissa pulled this off.
The feedback from the press in Jakarta, in Indonesia, from the media and from the designer itself. Yeah, some congrat us, some of them also like wondering how they can get that. A lot of criticize also, a lot of like some of negativity, and then some positive, some negative, and then a lot of like a suggestion from the senior designer to her, and then but I think it's a normal reaction for for some people to see this, because like this is like a phenomenal. they not only questioning who is Anissa Hasibuan, they also questioning who is Teti Nurhayati, who is Dina Eski.
I asked Anissa how she felt about the negative reaction from her peers in Jakarta.
Sebenarnya kalau untuk pribadi berat ya, karena aku juga tidak menyangka sampai seperti ini efeknya mengikuti New York Fashion Week. Tetapi setidaknya bisa memberikan inspirasi untuk mereka lebih untuk bersemangat lagi menjadikan Indonesia ini sebagai kiblat fashion. Menjadi kiblat fashion modest.
What about the rest of Indonesia's fashion scene? Is it all modest wear? Not even close. It's street, it's glam, sexy, it's fearless.
Wow, Jakarta fashion scene and the style has grew so much. I mean, when I was started, there's only one ready-to-wear brand. I remember it was XSML by Bian, and that's it. Now there's like, I think, thousands, maybe, I don't know, hundreds. So this is a personal photograph of mine. We were going for a trip to New Zealand, a family trip, and because I like to take photographs using disposable cameras, so this is one of it. I think Jakarta fashion scene itself is different. Here, fashion is adored or admired, and they use it as a form of self-image. For example, if you go to Japan or Denmark, for example, they would speak fashion differently. They will wear, for example, only black and very minimalist. While here, a lot of them like it loud and like it glamorous, and all the glitz and glam of the fashion industry that we all have a fantasy about. And that's what happened here in Jakarta, more than every cities that I've been to.
Nikisio's style is very minimalistic with a slick urban feel. She plays with interesting angles and has a monochromatic color schemes with an eye for sustainable fashion.
We made this out of paper. So this is actually paper.
This is paper?
Paper. This is actually a project that I did with one of my best friends. She's a photographer. So she printed this. This is a tree. We made it into a dress because I think that I want to raise an awareness, like a question. I want to throw a question to my customers. If you buy this, if you don't wear sustainable clothes, how does it feel if you only wear paper?
I was looking forward to seeing her collection on the runway, but she wasn't part of Jakarta Fashion Week's lineup due to an unexpected event.
It was, it was early in the morning. I was 39 weeks pregnant back then. Yes, almost giving birth. And then in the morning, 8 a.m. in the morning, I receive a call, and I receive 10 missed calls actually. And then I look at my phone, and there's a WhatsApp coming from my production manager, and then she said, Nina, there's really bad news. Our office burned down. I couldn't believe it, but then there were pictures. Everything was black, ashes. I thought at one second I thought I was in a dream. I thought this must be a bad dream. This couldn't happen, because we were supposed to move out. It just happened a day before we supposed to get out. So literally, when we started to work here, we work with nothing. There's no laptops, no anything. We just have tables, chairs, and our employees and our eagerness to start again, and that's it. We start everything all over again. I believe that everything happened for a reason. So when something happened, I would just, embrace the feeling, and then and think about what I should do next, as opposed to what happened should happen, and just think about the future and then what you can learn from it, other than being a crybaby about it. Yeah, the fire has made me to reinvent myself, definitely. I actually been thinking for so long that Nikki Chio should have a label division. There should be, a basic where everyone can wear, and then there should be more fashion, more conceptual. So because of the fire and everything was burned down, so we can rearrange our labels again.
Back at Jakarta Fashion Week, I chatted with the creative director and designer for Lotus Jakarta about her influences, which, interestingly enough, included a witch festival in the Czech Republic and American Horror Story.
I love fashion since I was a kid, and then even I read a woman magazine since I was a kid, so I never liked cartoons and everything. So I like to see people in a good looking. I like to see people when they are dressed up. I keep staring at them and like, why are you so beautiful? Why are you wearing that? Why are you wearing this? My story about my fashion show from yesterday, we worked together with L'Oreal Indonesia. It's inspired by Czech Republic, Prague, and inspired by The Witch, because they have Karo Dešniš. It's like the festival for killing or burn the witch. Everything is connected by Gothic, dramatic, and the Roman accent, something like that. My inspiration, I don't know, my inspiration is always change somehow. Basically, I'm inspired by movie or travel. Like the last fall winter, I inspired by travel and movie. The American Horror Story is so good. The Covenant Asylum, so it's connected. And the Spring Summer collection, I'm gonna show it because all of a sudden I'm watching HBO. It's showing again the Rio, the cartoon. That's why the next collection is Spring Summer. It's inspired by Brazil. So I get inspired by everywhere, anywhere. Jakarta fashion scene is very creative. It's very loud somehow, but the community is not so big.
I don't know. I feel it's been my calling since I was a little kid in Makassar. So I started doing my own clothes when I was about 7.
Toton is a rising star of the Indonesian fashion scene, having recently been named finalist in the International 2016-2017 Wilmark Prize Asia.
I designed for a woman who's interested in arts, culture. She travels a lot. She doesn't have to travel physically. She can travel imaginatively. She's eager to know other culture. And also, she is not a trend-driven person. because I think what I'm offering here is a story, and I want the story to be able to be integrated in their life. But being an Indonesian kid, being someone from third world country, in a way, you are expected to have a higher education in field that your parents can understand. So I was directed towards those fields. So I took civil engineering at university at first, and then I dropped out, obviously, 1 year later. And then as a compromise, I studied broadcasting communication at university. But still, the calling is getting stronger and stronger.
I wanted to take an historic look at Indonesia's style story, so we went to visit Sir Harry Darsono, a couturier and a fashion icon in his own right. With my white gloves on, I was able to take a tour at one of his 4 museums in Jakarta, where Sir Harry was on a mission to show me everything he had, from one room to the next. It was mesmerizing, overwhelming, and a delight.
Fashion is sensation. That's it. But the most important things in fashion is people. People is living piece of art, especially women. These are all the fashion, the haute couture, with the novelties fine silk that I just recently showcased.
You just had a show.
Yes, last week.
I know.
This is it. This is belongs to Dewi Sukarno, the 4th wife of the President Sukarno. This is the beauty Miss Brazil, and the next one, the white one, is all diamonds. I left this country in 1959 after I was expelled from 6 different schools in the same year because, the old style of schooling, of studying in the class, you have to concentrate, you have to look at the blackboard, which ADHD cannot afford that. So anyway, my uncle just took me to France when he was to complete his PhD by research in Paris. I had to continue my study in École des Beaux-Arts in Saint-Germain, and where the most leading designers, graduated from, like Giorgio Armani, Carven, Lefero, whatever, Lanvin. Then I had to work in 6 different big and leading fashion houses in Paris every year, keep changing. And at those days, fashion houses was not like this. They didn't sell the ready-to-wear. They just made to order. So I always ask, who is this person? Okay. For this tiara, I had to sell 3 cars. My BMW 7 Series, my sports car Z4, and my Bentley. Only one, but now I have 6. Do you want to see?
You have 6 cars?
No, six tiaras, yeah. Each I had to trade 3, but this is the most expensive one. I got this from Sotheby.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Are you ready to see this?
Oh, gosh, they're all here.
Yeah, but you do.
You made this for Princess
Yeah,
Di.
Princess Di.
What year?
When she was alive, because I knew her when she was small.
Oh, you know?
Yeah, because her grandmother, the proxy grandmother, Lady Barbara Cartland,
yes.
is a sister of my proxy mother.
Oh,
yeah. And my proxy mother was an art. This is truly a beaut. People can really see 2 different pools, 2 different high contrast elements in her, between naivety and bravery. Yeah. Under pressure, she became very unpredictable, brave person to express her social, movement in a such way for AIDS Foundation, and yet she's just, doing this and that and mingling with this, that. But, the dress for me, again, is not everything. The dress is a frame of a living piece of art. And the living piece of art was Princess Di. I only put the frame. This one is 1979.
That's 1979.
And this is the unique one also, Chico. Kamu agak ke sini, yeah. Chico is here. Look at this, like feathers. Yeah, isn't she beautiful? Aren't they beautiful? Yes. This is also all my hats that I made. This is very old one. This is old one. This one is quite new. Beautiful. This is all hand stitched and painted. But listen, the dress without a woman, nothing. So for me, art is a woman, not a dress. For me, the woman is a living piece of... Indonesia has so many variety of color schemes, and they mix colors, and even with the metal, where everything is open. But then the new designer have to be able to grow as a new big tree. Designing is actually a long life learning process. Such an endless learning process, believe me, because people keep changing. We live in the contemporary world. Your daughter, yourself, keeps changing from stage to another. So the design always changes.
Sir Harry was right. People do change. But there is something to be said about a specific cultural and religious influence that threads through from one generation's style story to the next, especially here in Indonesia. Imam Slimi was able to shed more light on how religion plays a part in Indonesia's fashion industry with respect to the hijab, an attire which has been getting plenty of global attention in its own right.
Let's take a look at the word hijab. Hijab is a divider, a screener, something that protects you. And Islam did not emphasize too much on the cloth, but on how you use it and why you use it, which means it's about decency and protection of dignity and honor, and also having good relationships between men and women, not based on a lust or a desire, but based on human dignity. The Quran in chapter 24 ordains men and women to lower their gaze, not to lust over everybody. So that is the same thing in the Christian faith, the Jewish faith. Most of the religions, if you go to places of worship, there is some kind of covering. And hijab is not the head cover. This is the big mistake people do. This is only 5% or maybe 10%, the whole body. You could wear hijab and you probably not observing the idea of hijab. You could wear regular clothes and there could be 95% hijab because you don't have a head cover. Hijab is a symbol.
I actually really love the modest wear community. I admire them so much because they have sports wear, they have evening wear, they have street wear, I think, for hijab. I have two employees here that actually wear hijab, and every time I would like their opinion. For example, if we make a long sleeve tee, and then I will ask them whether they can wear it. And I love them. I think it's really great because then it will grow our industry so much better than before. And then we can see that these hijabers they actually embrace fashion that very well.
My opinion about the modest or the hijab trend nowadays, the majority of Indonesian people is Muslim. What Anissa did, it was so good. She's so smart doing that. Even got the coverage from Elle. I don't know Anissa herself, but I congrats her. It's so good. It's a good job.
The modest fashion industry started I think around 5 to 10 years back, and it has grown so huge now. And then you see in Jakarta Fashion Week this year, we have a lot of modest wear designers showcasing their design. They're not afraid to put themselves out there, be fashionable. I mean, and then a lot of them actually they want to kind of break the stigma of modest wear being very boring, there's no color in it, it's not trendy, it's just all about covering up, but it's not. I mean, not only the people who wear hijab or the ones covering up who can only wear the clothes, even I wear things from the modest wear designers.
ESMA Jakarta enrolls 450 students a year and has an annual fashion presentation during Jakarta Fashion Week. Similar to fashion schools seen in the US and Canada, this France-based fashion academy has a robust roster of students and an alumni that boasts Indonesia's brightest design stars. We wanted to find out how has the Jakarta fashion scene evolved over time from an academic perspective.
An evolution in fashion in Jakarta, actually, it's a huge evolution, huge. I remember when I came here 6 years ago, so it's not so long actually. Everybody was dreaming about red carpet dresses, about princess dresses. When you go to the fashion week, everybody was wearing like, I don't know how to call that. But
Beautiful
nowadays,
dresses,
yeah,
a lot of decoration.
yeah. But
That was the fashion about 6 years ago and 15 years ago.
But nowadays, it's really more trendy, more sportswear, more young, more... No, it's totally different. In 6 years, it's totally different. For me, the point for the unicity of Jakarta is more about the fabrics and the traditions, the handicraft, because I have a lot of amazing fabric here, actually. They have gold. It's amazing. With the batik, with the sangkat, with all this knowledge I have.
For example, if we talk about batik, there is a group of people who will protect this batik.
Museum ini merupakan museum yang pertama di Indonesia. Museum ini berada di bawah pengelolaan Dinas Pariwisata dan Kebudayaan Provinsi DKI Jakarta. Yang akan kita kunjungi ini adalah salah satu ruang di Galeri Batik. Galeri ini merupakan galeri yang dikelola bersama Yayasan Batik Indonesia.
What better way to get the real feel of the Indonesian market than at Tamrin City, a noted textile hub. With the help of Teti and Dina, we explored the mall, which was teeming with shoppers looking to snap up the latest deals from local vendors, especially when it came to batik fabrics. As with any cultural textile, there lies a story behind every design, every motif, and every color used to create such a pattern. We came across this wonderful man who gave us a brief history of batik.
Ini kan wahyu temurun. Kalau wahyu itu istilahnya apa ya? Kita mendapat keuntungan itu, terus temurun itu temurun dari kita ntar ke cucu-cucu ke keturunan kita ya. Ini Sido Mukti namanya. Apa? Sido Mukti.
Sido Mukti.
Ya, Sido itu jadi sebenarnya kalau diceritain semua nggak kelar sampai besok.
Iya.
However, with batik being a fabric that holds such cultural weight, having its rightful place on the modern runway can be a challenge.
This batik has to be this way, this color with this motif. So we are trying to develop this, not only us, but everyone who believes that batik is a technique before being a motif or a design. But it's really difficult, really, really difficult to insert the modern way into this tradition and culture. When we move from one island to another island, then we can change also the religion. We can feel it because sometimes it's Christian, sometimes it's Hinduist, sometimes it's Muslims, but the way of life is still the same. It's open-minded, yes.
Yeah. It's really interesting, actually. All my friends in France are scared because you're in a Muslim country, it's maybe dangerous. I feel more secure here compared to France, actually.
I asked if there was any cultural resistance when it came to fashion students wanting to pursue their dreams.
Sometimes we have some problems regarding the religion, for example. Some girl students want to make menswear, but the parents don't allow them to follow the program because they have to be close from men, and the parents want them to make Muslim wear. And this kind of problem, we still have it less, but we still have it.
Last year or 2 years ago, I forgot, our student with hijab, so covered, she did lingerie specialization, and she presented a total transparent collection that was, at the beginning, very surprising. But at the end, it was really beautiful to see her presenting her collection with the life model, almost naked, and herself nearby with her hijab.
For the evolution of modest fashion, actually, modest wear, what we have now is they still get the code of modest wear to cover arms, to cover legs, but they really go more into the trends now, into the product itself, into the Western market also, because there is more and more Muslim people also in the West. The Muslim market is bigger and bigger, so they really understand that. And now the transition for us, they really go into the trend, the sportswear, the urban wear, everything like this.
And actually, we don't really teach modest wear in SMOD. We teach the student according to what they have in mind. So we might have some students who want to do modest wear. We might have students who want to do wedding, for example. So when they reach the level number 3 in their study, then we absorb what they have in mind. We try to guide them into what they want to develop. So we work with modest wear if they want to, but we bring the modern touch to make sure that it will be something quite interesting and not too decorative.
I sat down with some of ESMOD Jakarta's students to get a glimpse on what the next gen are thinking when it comes to the future of Jakarta fashion.
For me, it is different from like Paris Fashion Week, for example, which depicts many names like Chanel and, you know, the big dudes. And here in Jakarta, I feel like in Jakarta Fashion Week, there are those big names, but there's also like our school's alumni and newer people in the scene.
Newcomers.
Yeah.
I do look into the West for inspiration, but I don't only look on the West, but also other countries, maybe perhaps Japan or Korea. And I think like mixing them up is kind of like unique and fun in a sort of way, I guess. Yeah.
Jakarta's designer community also wanted to impart some pearls of wisdom for the next generation.
My advice for the next generation, I would say, try to think more like outside the box. Just try to think about something else, more creative, more innovative.
My advice to young designers would be keep striving, just keep doing what you're doing. Because starting a business is one thing, but you know, having a sustainable business is another thing. Just keep on doing it, because after a while it will be a mundane thing to do, but you just have to keep on doing it. And then when there's a problem, just don't give up.
Oh yeah, we've gone through like quite a lot of growth, and it evolves really good. What started as just more local designers, now it's grown into, you know, kind of more international also, which is what we aspire to be. Jakarta fashion scene is still evolving, I would say. We are still absorbing a lot of things. We are establishing our own DNA. I think the current state of Jakarta fashion scene is we are certainly growing to be a big player, especially in Southeast Asia. And hopefully in the future, we will be the capital of fashion in Southeast Asia.
It was fascinating to discover such an array of creative minds in Jakarta, Indonesia. In such a divisive world, it was heartening to see two very robust industries, modern wear and modest wear, wholeheartedly supporting each other without having to compromise on their respective fashion identities. Their combined strength not only serves as a unique platform for style, but it's also an example on how the presence of various philosophies, be they cultural or religious, buoyed by their business acumen, can be a formidable fashion force in Asia and beyond, and on the Style Atlas.